Did you have a PTSD after the war, post-traumatic stress disorder after the war?
Yes, I had a handover. I have a handover over.
Is that right?
When I go to bed,
okay.
I will not sleep.
Did you?
When I go to bed, they will be haunting me.
Okay.
The battle inoculation we had there was so bad.
Did you sleep in the war front?
How can you sleep in the war front?
So,
your child's play.
What exactly do you advise? What should Nigeria do to avoid such incidents?
I've already mentioned that this for
marginalization.
There needs to be social justice.
Okay, social justice.
Economic justice.
Economic justice.
Political justice. In fact, we are talking about practicing a democracy, but it's unfortunate that the worst type of democracy is the democracy that is bereft of rule of law. Rule of law. Where there is judicial injustice, it gets worse. It's worse than any type of dictatorship.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that the four arms of government, the judiciary, the legislator, the executive, and then the third dimension. The third dimension is the press. Okay. And the press, for me, the press has not failed. It has not failed so much. But what has failed so much and has collapsed completely is the judiciary. So there's a gross injustice. The executive, in fact, if I were asked to suggest a way out, we should go back to parliamentary system. This presidential system is too sophisticated for a third world country. We don't even have the resources.
Okay, now, just like making a whitewash of governments. If you still have the same people in the same boat, do you think it will make any difference going into a different level of government? Because, I mean, I know the parliamentary, you have a devolution of power all around, but if you have the same people, they will find a way to reconstruct the whole system and still make it to their own advantage. So, what exactly can we do?
I am not...
because it's the same people.
Yes, I am not advocating violent revolution.
Okay.
Rather, what I'm talking about is a type of system of governance that carries all the people along. This particular system of governance, what happened in the French Revolution, where we have the bourgeoisie, the aristocrats, taking all the wealth, leaving the poor people. So once upon a time, the poor people now, you'll be surprised that when I use the word poor people, the soldiers in France were also the poor people, the police. So they joined us together, all of them joined us together against the bourgeoisie and the aristocrats, and they wiped them out. That is why today, France remains one of the most powerful economies in the world, because that leadership class that has been the cankerworm, the cancer that have refused to make the governance possible to reach the power. They were the people that were removed from office.
Okay, now based on what you're saying, now you're talking about we're going back to history, to know what happened before, so that we'll be able to calculate to know what we're going to do for tomorrow.
Yes.
But now this history is being taken out of the school. They know, I mean, like from the secondary to primary school, I understand they don't have history classes. Now, these are the things that were supposed to help us. Now, that's what we're saying. Is it from one? I think that's a memory of Helen Kissinger. History signals its message to wise men without violence. For those who prefer to ignore its message, it wraps with gunfire to call attention. But do you think we're not looking forward to wrapping with gunfire?
Gunfire can come in many forms.
Okay. It might not be physical gun.
It may not be physical gun.
Okay, so it's like
the area I want to make some little input is the area of expunging history from school curriculum. It is unfortunate that the present generation is being derived this useful information is derived from history. So this quotation, how does this present generation manage this quotation? history signals its message.
To white men.
When there is no history, what do you do?
That was exactly why I brought up the issue.
Yes,
Now, if nothing will signal the message, so how do we, how are we able to note what happened in the past to be able to make amends for the future?
If I remember the quotation of Dr. Nanda Azikiwe, he said that we have been pushed against the wall. We cannot be fight back. Let us 1,000 blows, do it on our enemy, that he may be constrained to honor us. For my head is bloody, but not bowed. So, King Louis the 14th was the most corrupt king during those years. King Louis the 14th was dining in his palace with golden spoons. The railings of his bed were done with pure gold. Now, the gates were all pure gold. Okay? 2,000 soldiers feed in the king's port. Okay? But immediately you leave the palace gate, you see poor people scattered everywhere. So it is a natural phenomenon. Change will come.
So that was his
How that change will come, we don't know.
Yeah,
but even here in Nigeria, the door is knocking very furiously to open the gate of change.
Okay, so now it's not a section of, say, the Igbo people or Southeast. Every part of the country is having the pain.
Across religion, tribe, geographical description, and rest of them.
They're all feeling the pain.
Yeah.
So it is not
the natural
an issue of particular
sectionalizing or tribalism.
So now it is a problem of leadership. Now, do you see a class being set up in Nigeria? Because this high social classes stratifications, they have every ethnicity involved in those classes now. So it is not ethnic by ethnic, but it is class by class. But now, how do you see the masses, how they respond to this thing, to all this marginalization? They don't seem to complain.
Now, the thing is, let me say this. It goes beyond the physical. Man finds it difficult to remember anything painful if it is long. The brain is conditioned in such a way that it doesn't retain much pain. So that's why history should come in to keep on reminding.
To signal that message.
Yes.
Without violence.
Without violence. So, but we see where hunger, starvation in the midst of plenty is playing that role of history. Nnamdi Kanu, for instance, said, if you listen to Biafran radio, you have read all the encyclopedia that you need to read. You may not, the Biafran radio is like a university. But what does actually mean? What actually it means that nature abhors vacuum. Okay. When they expunge history from school curriculum, if you ask our children what happened in the past, they are bereft of knowledge. Okay. But somehow nature has a way of filling up the gap. Okay. That is why when you receive some information here and there, sometimes the information is not sealed. It's not sealed. That is why it is dangerous. Okay. But if it passes through a very constructive scenario, like education, okay, you know what is the one that is correct and what that is not correct. Okay. So but if you leave it open, the people will be misdirected.
Can you hold your answer? Now we have a lot of social unrest. Yeah. Which area or part of the country do you think this is most likely to come up from? If there's any kind of insurrection, any social, what do you call it, revolution, what part of the country do you think this will come from?
This is not going to be a straightforward answer to this question, because what is happening now is costing across tribe, religion, geographical expression, was something to do with hunger and starvation. Okay. Is what will lead to this insurrection. So it cannot be pushed to one particular area. I see it as something that will, after the experience, it may be painful experience, but since we all are clamoring for one Nigeria, after this experience, we will really have one Nigeria. As we are now, we are not we have not paid the price that we should pay as a nation. If there may be some part of this country that pay the price, but some other parts of the country have not paid the price of being a nation. If we really want to be a nation, there must be some sacrifices.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, sir. Now, this question, we started with the Civil War, which actually what we are really actually heading is to how Nigeria will be made stable.
Yes.
Now, since you have seen the war, you were in high school before the war. At least you were enlightened,
yes,
and knew much about the country, a little bit about the country, and you joined the war. And you commanded a platoon. I say then you had some responsibility, and you somewhat knew as an officer. You knew about the politics in the Biafra and politics of war. Now presently you've been in Nigeria as a civilian, going about your life and business. Now, what is your advice to Nigerian leadership for good Nigeria?
The war is an ill wind that blows
no good.
Yes. If I briefly remember, painfully, before I joined the Nigerian Army, I was a Red Cross. From Red Cross, I became social welfare worker. So my experience of being a social welfare worker made me feel so bad. That was why I had to go to Nigeria and get into the army. Children were dying of kwashiorkor in their hundreds because there was no food. I was in charge of going from one ward to the other. I wasn't a medical doctor, but that was the job I was doing. Yeah. So social welfare worker. Hunger is an illegitimate instrument of warfare, yes. I was bringing out children and elderly people who had died of kwashiorkor. If you know what it means for you to be doing that job, the stench that comes out of it
at that age
is unimaginable. So I did it until we have more than every day, about more than 100 people were dying in my own camp alone. And then we have this air raid killing many people, even the marketplaces. This jets will come down and kill the civilians and most of them. So all these things, they had a trauma, and they had a feeling of vengeance. Who are the people doing this? That was what led me to the war.
To defend your people.
To defend my people.
Okay, thank you very much. And the thing is that you've had the experience, war experience. You were in the battlefield. You fought all the while. Now we've been seeing war movies and how things were being set up. War is being glamorized in war movies. Is it the same thing with real war? Like the wars you see in the movies, cinemas, and theater. You see the same thing with the war you experience?
I would say it is a make-believe, but it is not. There's a reality. Because I worked in the war front as a social welfare work goes to war front.
No, I want you to tell me your experience as a fighting soldier.
Yes. Now, my experience. Let me give you what experience I had when I went to the war for the first time. That is, I had about 24 people in my platoon, and most of them they didn't have any more experience. So the battle inoculation we had there was so bad because, like I said, at Okigwe sector, that was where I was posted first as an army officer. My soldiers were dying. They were picking them left and right. At a point, even for you to defend yourself, you have to use use them as cannon fodder.
Yeah, cannon fodder.
Yes, so you to pack their corpses, and you'll be fighting so as not to be shot. This is the human beings.
Did you have a PTSD after the war, post-traumatic stress disorder after the war?
Post what?
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes, I had a handover. I have a handover over.
Is that right?
When I go to bed,
okay.
I will not sleep.
Did you get any rehabilitation?
I didn't.
Because when it happens in other like in a advanced country, they have
over time.
Okay.
But once in a while, when I go to bed, it will be haunting me.
Okay.
Things like that.
Okay, so you had PTSD,
Yes.
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
That is the kind of things you sensation you have when you come out from a stressful situation where a nightmare is that you experience. When you go to bed, it keeps on recurring to you.
Many years many years
wow.
old.
So
even that of air raid.
So you were silently taking that nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
It's a serious something overseas.
Oh.
I mean, in our Western countries, you have a treatment for that. Yes. Okay, now, so now, like in the war. During the war, I've seen the movies, you see people sleeping and then people taking over. Did you sleep in the war front?
How can you sleep in the war front?
So now, which means the war movies is glamorized, not the real thing.
What's the real thing? That's what I use it for. I call it make believe. Yes.
Oh, you can't sleep.
Yes. And there was another experience I had. But the one they call the tracer bullets for those who went to the war front for the first time. That is what they have to overcome. Tracer bullets. If they are being deployed this way, okay, but normally it happens at night. When they shoot the tracer bullets, it will you will not know the direction of the enemy. So most of the time you will even go and embrace the enemy.
Who shoots that?
The enemies shoot it.
So what about your logistics? Do you have a lot of weapons, armory? This in the Biafran war, do you have a lot of bullets, arsenals?
Yes.
I
was even in charge of as a motor transport officer for DTF Transport Brigade. That was a motor transport officer means I was in charge of the refinery. And then I was also in charge of the armory because all this in mobility.
Okay. Logistics.
Yes, we had it. We had it. Even when the enemies came from Owerri and before they went to that direction, we were already informed. So we moved the armory from Orogwe, where it was, to what they call it, that hospital along that road.
Okay. Now, sir, well, thank you very much for your wealth of information. Now, to bring this program to an end, where were you when the war ended?
The war ended. My last experience, as I told you, that the enemies from Port Harcourt were firing long-range missiles to Owerri. We thought they had already reached Owerri. Many people vacated Owerri completely. But they were using Russian long-range missiles. They were still in Port Harcourt. When I got this information, as a motor transport officer under the DTF Transport Brigade, I moved with my boss man. And when I went to Owerri, there was no enemy. And these people have already, the place was empty. Then I asked my commander, what would I do? He said, move the armory. I had to move the armory to somewhere very far away and came back. We were visiting Owerri on daily basis. There was no sign of the enemy.
And the war has ended already?
The war was ending. No sign of the enemy. The reason was that they tricked us with these long-range missiles. We thought that the enemy was already around because it wasn't. So the weather was captured and packed. And you asked me not to talk about surrender and all this stuff.
Yes, thank you very much for giving us a word of it. There have been a lot of books written about war, but nobody can write a book and cover the whole war. It has to be by sector. Yes. Now, I didn't ask you what rank exactly did you start the war with and did you end with?
Like I told you, I was another rank.
No, when you went up.
And then I went up to platoon sergeant.
Okay.
Before I now enrolled, or I was sent into School of Infantry.
Okay.
There was commissioned. I commissioned army officer, 25th intake, and my officer number is 9133. Okay. So there was no doubt.
What rank did you come out with?
I was a second lieutenant.
What rank did you end with?
Second lieutenant.
Second lieutenant. Okay. So that was, we have a Biafra second lieutenant Obiebeka JSF as so he has given us the things about war, the stories, information about what happened during the war. What do we need this for? We need them so that we will not be able to go into such mistakes. And those people who are going into such behaviors because of some selfish needs, perhaps knowingly or unknowingly, will watch what they are doing. Like he stated, if things that led to civil war comes up again, it might not be from the southeast. It will be all around Nigeria,
Yes.
because everybody is equally suffering.
I don't know how long it's going to take, but if this mess continues, the problem that will consume this government will start in northern Nigeria. It's not going to start in the east.
So, viewers, I thank you very much for paying attention. I still remain Amalense JJ Aze for Sabata Review. Sir, Biafran Lieutenant
Yes.
Obiemeka Joseph Aze,
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming to the program.
Okay, it's
I
a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Thank you very
It's a
much.
pleasure.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure.